Welcome back. This is Billy with Coach Dooley's List, and I am here today with Coach Justin Bishop at Seckinger High School. Like I tell everybody at the beginning, if you are enjoying these interviews, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by Elite Sports and Embroidery out of Duluth. If you are still looking for gear, for player packs, stuff to celebrate your season, please reach out to Chris Daniel and his crew. They will take care of you. But again, I'm very excited about being here today with good buddy, Coach Justin Bishop. Thanks for having us, Coach.
Definitely. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be getting the opportunity to interview with you and talk to you. Coach Dooley and I have been friends for a really, really long time. We've known each other for, over 20 years now.
Probably. Yeah.
And so really, really neat opportunity to be able to kind of share my story and talk to Coach Dooley on this interview.
We'll jump right into it. I always ask coaches first, tell us a little bit about your coaching journey and how you ended up starting this program here at Seckinger.
Well, I'm going into year number 25 this year. I started coaching, when I was in college. I used to do some all-star teams back at the park that I grew up playing at. And then I kind of always knew that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I did a GA with Kevin Howard at LaGrange College in 2001. I was there for a little over a year, completed my degree, and then moved on.
That was my last year playing. You might have coached against me.
I might have. I didn't want to do college coaching. I didn't want to get stuck in that cycle, and so I got back into DeKalb County. I started my career at Clarkston High School, and then ended up at Lithonia High School because Ron Elgin retired. And when Ron retired, he called me and asked me if I was interested in the job. And my wife and I had planned to go to Carson Newman to let her do her master's degree up there, and I couldn't find a job. And so we came back home, or we never really left, but we ended up, I took the job at Lithonia, and I was there for 3 years, coached some amazing kids, got to meet some amazing families, and was there for 3 years. And then I took the Berkmar job in Gwinnett. That was what kind of got me in Gwinnett County. And after 3 years there, I made the best move that I could have ever made in my whole career, and decided I was going to go back to being an assistant coach, and got to work for 2 Hall of Fame coaches in Cecil Flo and Chan Brown. And it was the best thing that I could have ever done. I went to Parkview with the idea of I'm only going to be there for a few years and then I'm going to go take another job. And I was there for 13 years. Amazing kids, amazing people that I got to work with, amazing families. The community support was awesome. My wife and I lived in the Lilburn community for 18 years before we moved up here. Mm-hmm. And so kind of towards the end of my time at Parkview, I kind of started wanting to be a head coach again. My career is not a whole lot longer, but my wife and I were ready to do something a little bit different. And Seckinger I knew was coming open, and when I found out that Kelly Poff was going to be the athletic director here, I knew immediately that this was the type of place that I wanted to come work and to have the people that I get to work with and work for. So this is going to be year number 4 here at Seckinger, and I'm really, really excited about what we're doing here and what we're trying to build.
Well, I love, as you can see in the background too, you got the clouds, which I always love, but the baseball softball facility right here together, and having your own input into how it's built. I was just telling you, nobody's got a concession stand the size you do.
I didn't get to pick this, but we're fortunate.
But even just being able to share and stuff. But there's so much, and I love making these connections. I've got to throw these out. So much to unpack in what you just said. My parents went to Clarkston.
Okay.
And
the
then
Angoras.
The Angoras, yes. And I was actually stopped by there a couple months ago. But then Ron Elgin, after he did retire, was my first assistant when I became a head coach at Collins Hill for softball.
Okay.
Just got to know him during the summertime and a little bit, and I just threw it out. We were playing, I think, in the Parkview Shootout, and we were over at Shiloh. And he was like, "Hey, I need a coach," and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." I was like, "Great."
And he was probably still helping at Shiloh or during the spring.
I think he was still doing baseball with Champito. I think
it was Matt. Yeah, it was Matt Champito. I know Jamie Basso was there before Matt got the head coaching job, so it might have been towards the tail end of Jamie being there.
Well, and I was texting with Coach Elgin. I tell everybody if they get brought up, Coach Elgin, if you see this, if you text me, I'm going to come and take you to lunch. But you got to text me after you watch it.
Too, Ron.
We'll all get together. I love it. So, well, listen, in growing, I think it's really cool to be able to start your own program. Yeah. And obviously, taking from your days at Berkmar and Clarkston and Lithonia and even Parkview, you get to formulate what you want to do with your program. Right. So, if somebody in the other dugout across the way from you, or, kid plays for you for a couple of years, what do you want people to be known, or what do you want Seckinger baseball to be known for?
I think, and I learned this a long time ago. I think that when you meet the other coaching staff after the game, shake their hands, this, that, and the other, I think the biggest thing that you want them to tell you about your program is, man, your kids play hard. Yep. And they do it the right way. I don't know if we always do that. I like to hope that we do and like to think that we do. I know that I'm the biggest critic of my own program and my own players. So I know that there are a lot of times where we don't kind of meet our expectations, but I'd like for us to be technically sound. I'd like for us to be fundamentally sound within the game. I'd like for us to play with great energy and great passion. If we do those things, then the people in the other dugout after the game will say, man, those guys play hard. They were hard to beat.
Yeah.
And that was a staple that I learned along the way coming up from being in college, playing at Barry, coaching with Kevin Howard at LaGrange, learning all the way up as starting my own or running my own programs, all the way to working with Coach Brown at Parkview. He was a constant. I want the other people to say, man, you guys play hard.
Right.
And so that's a huge compliment. And I think that any one of us, whatever sport it is, if the opponent says, man, your kids do it right and they play hard and they play with energy, I think that we're on the right path.
Oh, for sure. And you know this too. I mean, I used to tell my teams, I can't motivate you every day. Like, nope. You have to, the hard work should motivate you to get out there and get after it. So no, I absolutely do. And again, the coaching compliments from other sides, that shows you, those are your peers. Those are the ones that mean a lot of what they say. So, right. In all your stops, could be here, could be anywhere. I know you've coached some dudes, been on TV lately and those kind of things. So, but those aren't always the biggest things, So, when you think back over your coaching career, what's one of your favorite stories or favorite memories from your coaching days?
We joke about it all the time. I have a core group of coaching friends, and we joke about it all the time. We could write a book.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that book would be
a series.
That book would be long, and we might have a second book and a third. I mean, I can't necessarily pick one story out, because if I picked one story out, I might be doing somebody a disservice.
We'll do round two. You can tell two stories. There's no time limit on this.
To be honest with you, the best stories now are getting to go to weddings and getting to meet babies and getting to meet, families. The stories on the field, yeah, they're awesome. They're great. The rings are awesome. They're amazing. They're great. But the best stories that we get to tell are after our career, or as the career gets extended and gets near the end, and you see your former players become great dads, great husbands, great wives, great moms. Because I've coached female sports as well, and just getting to see them all grow up and getting to see them become amazing people, that's what you're in it for.
Yep.
And again, I got tons of stories that I can tell about games and about locker room stupidity and everything else. We all do. We all do. But the coolest stories are now, like, I'm teaching in a building where I've got former players and former kids that are teaching with me. So that's really, really neat.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best thing for me.
You used to talk about the weddings, and my wife knows this too. Like, when your kid, with social media, when they're getting engaged and that kind of stuff. And then it's kind of, are you going to get the text with your address and that kind of stuff? And I get, and they know this, I've talked to some of them, you don't always get on the list. Like, you hope you can, but because, those numbers start getting up there, and sometimes you go. I remember for us, we had to say, none of our former players or students, because my wife, is in education too.
Right.
We actually had two of hers that crashed the wedding and showed up, and we were eating. And we're like, how'd you get in here? They're like, we had to come.
We weren't not going to come.
Yeah. Which, and I totally agree with that. So, And again, all your stops, building the relationships with kids and stuff. If one of those kids were to come to you today and say, Coach Bishop, I want to be a head coach, what advice would you give them?
Dig in. Dig your feet in. Find a way to make yourself as valuable as possible to the program that you are currently working for. Find ways to learn as much about daily operations as you possibly can. Learn how to drag the field, learn how to mow the grass, learn how to paint the lines, learn how to fix the mound, learn how to sweep the basketball court, take the nets up and down in the volleyball gym, learn how to operate the PA at football games, learn how to paint a football field if you need to. Learn as much as you possibly can for that sport that you want to lead. The best thing that I got to do, again, was take a step back and be an assistant at Parkview and work for some amazing people, not just from the guys that I worked for and with in Coach Brown and staff and Coach Flo and staff, but also getting to work with Mark Whitley, our athletic director, and David Smith, our principal, and the administrative staff, and watching other staffs for excellent programs go about their daily business, so that I kind of got to see, what do I want to do? How do I want it to look like for me? I went to Parkview thinking I knew a lot more than I actually did. And I learned really, really quick that I had a long ways to go. And even today, in year number 25, I'm still trying to learn. I have turned into, as what a bunch of us like to say, a lifelong learner, much more so than I was early in my career. So the thing that I like the most, or that I would say the most now, is if you want to be a head coach, if you want to lead your own program, make sure that you are as prepared as possible. And you don't have to do it exactly like somebody else did it.
Right.
You get to put your own stamp on it. You get to do your own thing. But you got to make sure that you are prepared and you have that plan.
Oh, yeah.
Write it down. Type it up. However you do your thing. But implement the plan and go for it. And when the plan goes a little bit awry, then you got to shift and adjust and keep moving in the right direction.
That's for sure. And again, like you said, write it down. A lot of people are notes people. I know you got your notes there.
Sorry.
No, hey, it's about being prepared, and everybody prepares differently. But even too, that kind of leads into my final question. In preparation, it's not just always on the field. The big idea behind Coach Dooley's list is just trying to help, connect coaches with vendors they trust. And again, once again, too, I'm going to show off. I love this. Okay, played against y'all in softball a couple years, and I appreciate this shirt. I told her I don't coach anymore, so my closet was starting to get thin. So I'm getting some gear from all over, which is really, really cool. Weird, too, trying to compete against y'all, but getting it. But one, tell me, I know you got this shirt from somewhere, but who are some vendors? I know you don't have a facility like this and gear like this, and then I've seen your team without having great people to work for. So who are some vendors you'd love to shout out for other coaches?
I know it's been talked about before. They've been mentioned before, but Shuma Sports,
They're awesome.
Gobert and Dana Walters, they're amazing. They do a great job of taking care of us and providing for our for our baseball program. I do almost everything through them. And they do an amazing job with customer service and taking care of us and taking care of, making sure that our needs are met. If there's ever a mistake, they fix it.
Right.
But there's very rarely a mistake, which is incredibly valuable when you're in a time crunch right before a season.
Always.
I know that before we started the interview, I mentioned that I was going to talk about All-American Specialties and Tony McIntyre, Scott McIntyre. Look, All-American Specialties, if you need plaques, if you need trophies, if you need awards, they do it all, and they do an amazing job.
Yep.
I have used them since back when I started my career in DeKalb County. So they've been open for a long time, and they are the best in the business. And then kind of right along with them, one of their partners is Scholastic Images. Todd Sims, Carlos Castillo, and Megan Castillo. They're our reps here at Seckinger. They do a great job with awards and athletic letters and all the stuff that you could need at a school as far as class rings and everything else. So
No, and all three of those are on the website and get shouted at a lot. So if you keep hearing those names, that's what this is about, though. I mean, it's use the good ones, you know. And I think you said something that if it's not right, they'll fix it.
Yep.
You know, I'd say this all the time. That's part of the reason for this. Nobody wants a discount. If you're going to give me a discount, just give me a discount. Okay. Right. I don't need a discount because you screwed something up. Fix it. We all have a budget. We all take notes. We know how much we want to spend. We want what we order. And if you can't get it to us, just communicate with us. And like I said, we'll pay for it. So, well, listen, Coach, a lot of good stuff in there. I definitely appreciate it. Like I said, we'll do round 2 and we can come back and do one just of stories for the series of books that we can create one day. But I wish you nothing but the best.
I don't know if some of those stories would be appropriate to share.
We can listen. There are different volumes of the book we can have. You can have one just for your friends, and then you could have the PG versions too. So, you know, never forget those. That's what makes it so fun. But, hey, I appreciate you, sir. Best of luck to you.
Definitely.